Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Panda Subs. Jeremy Chugs and I, if you're watching this live, are attempting to do a competitive taco eating contest, so I figured what better sponsor could I do than Panda Subs to help me get all this crap out of my system and get into better shape. But we do have a special offer, and it's only going to be available for this week. If you go to pandasubs.com, use code JACOBS for 28% off. I think we all know why it's 28% off. So coming up here on today's show, we're going to talk about the latest going on around the Raiders star running back number 28. He's talked about staying. McDaniels talked about him. What about Tom Brady? Is he coming to the Raiders? Interest in Jimmy Garoppolo, and then I'm going to tell you all the players that the Raiders signed to reserve/future contracts. So let's talk about Josh. Is he returning to the silver and black? I wish I could give more of an update on this topic, but unfortunately, this still remains as only two just win babies. Does Josh want to play for the Raiders? Yes, he does. Does he want to get paid? Yeah, absolutely he does. So he's going to be a free agent in 2023. He's going to be one of the top free agents out there. He's no doubt the number one running back out there. But to me, maybe he holds a little bit of grudge, the fact that the Raiders chose to decline his fifth-year option. If you were to franchise tag him, it's somewhere around $12.7 million. If you would have just kept the fifth-year option, though, that would have been, I believe, $8.6 million. So what I'm going to try to do here today is I'm going to walk you through what I believe a Josh Jacobs contract extension would look like. But before I get into that, let's talk about Jacobs. And this is what he had to say this week, specifically on Monday, on returning to the Raiders. For me, it's got to make sense, but this is obviously where I want to be. Coming in, I remember sitting down with Maxx, Crosby, and all these guys and talking about the Raiders organization and the culture and wanting to be a part of the change. I still feel that way, so hopefully I'll be back. I will always admit when I see a quote like that, you know, he's saying the right things. He's got to say all those type of things to make media members happy, your coaching staff happy, your fan base happy. But I really do believe deep down in my heart that Jacobs does want to remain a Raider. So what do you guys think? Will Josh Jacobs be on the team next year? Put a bet in. This is Las Vegas after all. Make a bet right now. Is it going to be a Y for yes? Or do you think it's going to be an N for no? Will Jacobs suit up with the silver and black? We're going to make this the pinned comment on today's show. So while you're going to hit that YouTube ad break, scrolling down and let me know. I'm going to say I think Jacobs does want to be a Raider. And because he wants to be a Raider, I'm hoping that that's going to be enough of a conversation to make it happen. I also know deep down that, yeah, we can talk about McDaniels' job being safe, this and that. He knows, though, after the year that they had at 6-11, you got to go out this year and you got to win. Jacobs didn't get a tattoo on his arm for nothing. The fact that he's repping the shield, which you can see, it's at this part of his arm, that tells you a lot to me. Like, I would never get a tattoo of something that I didn't care about. Yes, it's the organization that gave him a chance, that made him a millionaire, all those things, but I know people close to that organization that say Jacobs does really want to be on this team. However, though, money talks. And like he said, if he doesn't get the right amount of money, then he's going to move on. Jacobs also had this to say about our current coaching staff, which I know a lot of people are going to find interesting. Obviously, Gruden is a great football mind, but these guys, man, take it to another level just when it comes to the way they explain things and the way they utilize certain guys. So just learning their offensive playbook, learning the terminology, and then taking it and putting my own little spin on it, it's definitely been fun. The way we go about working, definitely the best working group that I've been around since being in the NFL. It's just about putting the little pieces together right now and identifying what those little pieces are, identifying each player's role, and just trying to execute that to the fullest. So again, whether Josh is just saying that to say it, I mean, you don't say something like that, though, if you don't want to remain on the team, right? Like, nobody would say that if you're like, no, I don't want to be around here. I know when Josh was upset a few weeks ago, which he should have been, but they were interviewing him basically right after a game. There's going to be a lot of emotions. So to me, Jacobs, I do think, signs with the team that pays him the most. Like, we could talk all we want. Raiders, 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 Raiders. If they give him the most money, that's where he's going to go. And the reason is running backs realistically only get one shot. One shot to get that big-time payday. And you're not going to see something like a McCaffrey, Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott deal. No. The numbers that y'all should be looking at are somewhere between Dalvin Cook and Joe Mixon. The best thing to do with this organization, and I think that's what the Raiders are going to do, because if I learned anything from this team, they are businessmen. Like, the way that the whole Derek Carr situation was handled, you can agree with it or not, the best business move for the Raiders was to do with what they did with DC, to make sure that he did not get hurt, that you save the money and you go forward. That's what I see them doing here with Josh Jacobs. So if you franchise tag him, again, it's going to be around somewhere between $12.7 million. If I was the Raiders, if I'm McDaniels, if I'm Ziegler, I say, hey, Josh, do you want to make $12.7 million a year? If the answer to that is yes, then take the franchise tag. Or we can give you a longer extension, but you're going to make less money per year. So when I think of my contract extension projection here for Jacobs, I'm going to go 3 years, $35 million at $11.6 million per year, because I think that the Raiders might lowball him in terms of years and money overall, right? Like Aaron Jones was making 12.0. However, some of those guys didn't get as much guaranteed money. Like the one contract I looked at very closely was Nick Chubb. Yes, Nick Chubb is making more money per year, but the guarantees are lower. So I'm going to give Jacobs more guarantees, keep him at a 3-year deal at $11.6 million, which comes out to being $35 million in total. This is what Josh McDaniels had to say on Josh Jacobs. Obviously, JJ's performance was a huge bright spot for us. I have a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for him as a person, but this is the most important thing. Watch this. As a player, and he kind of embodies all the things that we want a Raider to be. Dave and I have talked about that. JJ and I have had private conversations about those kind of things. I think all of that will play out in due time, but love him and would love to have him continue to be a Raider. I mean, if you already seen it right there, having private conversations, JJ embodies everything that we want in a Raiders player. He's obviously a great dude on the field. Don't get me wrong. I've seen a lot of people say things like, Raiders are fantastic right now. McDaniels is doing everything in his power. Blah, 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 blah. I've said it all on this show. But I do think that there is some validity to what McDaniels, what Jacobs, what they're all talking about, because there is that one common goal, winning football games. And I don't really think anybody's going to sit up here and debate that Josh Jacobs doesn't help you win football games. Something that's going to help you guys crush 2023, it's Panda Sups, and the products that I want to tell you about are maybe my favorite products from Panda. It's the ones that I use more than I would say just about anything else. And it's the protein. It's the best tasting protein that you will ever have. It comes in fruity cereal, chocolate ice cream, and vanilla ice cream. Use code JACOBS for 28% off at pandasups.com. It's 30 grams of protein, only 1 gram of sugar, and it's collagen, isolate, protein, casein, protein slow breakdown. It's going to break down really for a long time, which is what I like, because a lot of protein, if you drink it, then you get hungry right away. Not with this. It's going to actually be able to curb your appetite, and it's sweet. If anybody's got a sweet tooth out there, I believe the cereal one tastes kind of like the fruity pebbles, if you will, milk on the bottom of your bowl. The chocolate ice cream is also a very sweet protein. The protein for vanilla, if you like to mix that with fruit to make and like a smoothie or whatnot, really, really good. Jeremy's saying strawberry banana. I mean, it's also thick. It's great. I'm telling you right now, I love Panda Sups protein, and I really, truly believe you guys will too. So use code JACOBS for 28% off. Also, the owner of Panda Sup, diehard Raider fan. That's how we got the code. Let's go to the next story here. Tom Brady to the Raiders. Last week, I gave it 2 just win babies. I mean, I'm going to give it 3. And if you watch the show, that's a big deal. 75% chance that Tom Brady is going to be a Las Vegas Raider. If I'm wrong, that's fine. I don't mind if I'm wrong on this one, but we got to read the tea leaves here. Albert Breer said that the Raiders are interested in Brady, and he said like there's no doubt that they're already doing their homework on Brady. Hondo Carpenter, who's been pretty well in the loop with the whole McDaniels group, he said Brady to the Raiders is an 80% chance. For anybody who's not on your roster to give something an 80% chance, that's eye-popping to me. He is clearly the front runner, and it's really nobody else. Tom Brady is plan A for this team. He's plan A for McDaniels. He's plan A for Dave Ziegler. One NFL executive had this to say: Mark was in love with Tom Brady before, but Gruden wanted Derek Carr. Mark was always had great respect for Derek the man, but was not a big fan of his play. So when Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler saw Carr as a positive reason to come to the Raiders, he was fine with it. Mark now wants to make a statement, right or wrong. His dad wanted to make statements and was against big-name guys at the end of his career. Some worked out and some didn't. But there is a reason Brady is called the GOAT. So when it really comes down to the decision makers, if McDaniels, likes Brady, Ziegler likes Brady, if Mark likes Brady, and they already tried to bring him back in 2020, but Gruden said no, what makes you think that it's not going to happen again? So I'm going to say 75% chance. Hondo Carpenter said 80% chance. What are the chances Tom Brady is a Raider next season? Go down to the comments section right now and give me the percentage that y'all are thinking. Again, if Tom Brady has the opportunity to come here, you got to think about it, man. You just have to. Whether you like the guy or not, if he makes the Raiders better, you got to be able to do it. And I said this, I put it out on Twitter, if the Raiders make a move for Brady and he signs with the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm going live for 24 straight hours. I might not have a producer the whole time, but I'm going to do it. I believe deep down that Tom Brady is going to be a Raider. So the sooner you just start accepting the fact, I get it. I'm looking at the live poll right now. 70 or 67% people say they would. The other 33%, you got to get around it because Tom Brady wasn't not the ref that called the duck rule. I get it. He's the player that a lot of y'all hate, but I care about winning. And if Brady helps you win, well, then, hey, we got to do it. But seriously, I don't want you to miss that video if we do go live. So hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Let's go to the next story here. Interest in Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm going to give this one 3 just win babies. And if you miss out on Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo is plan B. And I would imagine Jimmy Garoppolo, or maybe even Jenny Garoppolo, Alan Cruz, I don't know, probably used plan B before. But this is what Albert Breer had to say on the Raiders' next quarterback. I can tell you unequivocally that this is a fact. The Raiders are looking into signing Tom Brady. The Raiders are looking into going and acquiring Tom Brady. Yes, this is something that the Raiders are doing the research on. Same goes for Jimmy Garoppolo. They're looking at the idea of studying Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's not only just Brady. It's not only just Jimmy G. They are doing their homework on Garoppolo. But Tom Brady is number one. And Hondo Carpenter was asked in a mailbag, all right, percentage chance on who's going to be the next Raiders quarterback. He said Tom Brady at 80%, Mac Jones at 10%, Jimmy Garoppolo at 9%, Aaron Rodgers at 1%. The last time I did my predicting who is going to be the next Raiders quarterback, Tom Brady was 1, Mac Jones was 2, Jimmy Garoppolo was 3, C.J. Stroud was 4, and then Aaron Rodgers, I believe, was number 7. Jared said my lead was like 5. I think Lamar Jackson was number 6. Either way, though, these type of percentages are very, very eye-popping. Now, before we get into our reserved players that the Raiders signed, you can always hit me up, Twitter, Instagram, MitchellRens365. Remember, locals, I'm always making videos over there. I go live a whole lot more often. Our winner of our Week 18 Pick'em Challenge over on locals, shout out to Fayez, and he was like, I don't want a picture of me. I want you to put a picture of my son, Ari, A-R-I. This is a cute baby, man. I'm not always the guy who's like, every baby's cute. That's not true. That's a cute baby. So, Ari, you got a good dad. Seems like he's pretty smart. But remember, y'all, if you want to join us on all of the challenges we do over on Locals, I am doing one for the Wild Card Weekend, a confidence poll. Please join us over there, raidersport.locals.com. Coming up next here, the Raiders Reserve / future contracts. And I had somebody DM me, Mitch, what the hell is this? What does it mean necessarily? So what I'm going to tell you guys is the definition of it. I think it's a little bit easier to explain. This is from Pro Football Network on what is a future contract. It is a contract that secures an NFL player to a team for the future. The reason is designated as a future contract is that the player is not officially under contract until the start of the following league season. The reason that the differentiation, is important is that the player's contract does not count against the salary cap or the roster limit for the current season. Instead, it is credited against the following year's salary cap, and the player counts against the offseason 90-man roster limit. However, it is crucial to note that once a player signs a future contract, they are placed on reserve/futures list and cannot negotiate with other teams. That's the important part. Unlike with practice squads, teams cannot sign other teams' players with the futures contracts. That means NFL general managers and coaches can be confident in having the bottom part of the roster settled for OTAs and training camp. So that's really the most important one. So in terms of, all right, who do the Raiders got? This is who the Raiders got so far. You got 7 players on the offensive side of the football, most notably wide receiver DJ Turner. And then on the defensive side of the football, you got 5 players on defense. So I would say the most notable names that people are going to really care about, Isaiah Zuber, some might say. Cole Fotheringham was a good player in terms of in the preseason. Chris Lacey didn't really get a lot of work. Don't really worry about Jordan Meredith. But in terms of the defensive side and special teams, Bryce Cosby's obviously the big name. Julian Diaz, the punter. Don't worry about A.J. Cole. They're just trying to get another lefty punter because they want people for OTAs. They want people for minicamp to just take some extra reps. So those are the Raiders reserve/future contracts heading into this offseason. Appreciate everyone who tuned into our Tuesday Rumors show. Greatly appreciate that. And if you guys really want to have a good time this week, Jeremy and I, we're going to be live on Saturday for the Jags and Chargers game. We're also going to be live on Monday for Bucks and Cowboys. So if you want to join those watch parties, I know the Raiders are done, but I want to keep on doing some watch parties, hanging out with the nation. So subscribe, set a reminder. I don't want you to forget.